Hello, my Montville families. This is Miss Jessica coming to you for our fairy tale story time. I hope everyone has had a wonderful week, although I know it's been very, very hot, so hopefully you guys have been able to keep cool. Today we're going to do a little different take on fairy tales. Hopefully many of you have seen Winnie the Pooh. I'm not sure if you realize it or not, but Winnie the Pooh actually comes from a real story. There really was a Christopher Robin, and there really was a bear. I don't know if you've read this story before, but it's called Finding Winnie. So this bear actually was Winnie the Pooh. There's a soldier in it, and he finds a bear, and he names the bear Winnie. It's so good that it actually, I don't know if you could tell, but there's a gold award here. It won the Caldecott Medal, which means it was the best book of the year. So this is the true story how Winnie the Pooh became Winnie the Pooh, and how that cartoon was created. So it's a little different. It's not quite a fairy tale, but I thought you might enjoy this story. I have to tell you, I love this story. I have read this to kids in my school. They have loved this story, so hopefully you will enjoy it as much as I have. And on the back, there's a kid with a little teddy bear. Okay, let's start this. So here we are in the woods. Turn that. There's the soldier. This is happening during, I think it's World War II. Let's see, or World War I. Let's see what happened. So it starts off with a little boy asking his mommy for a story. "Could you please tell me a story?" asked Cole. "Oh, it's awfully late. It was long past dark and it was time to be asleep." "What kind of story?" "You know, a true story. One about a bear." We cuddled up close. "I'll do my best," I said. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colborne. "A vegetarian?" said Cole. "Bear doesn't like vegetables." "A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor." "I know that," Cole said. "That's what I'm going to be when I'm big." If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters were so frosty that icicles grew on the insides of your nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away beyond the end of the country and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on a train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land stroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far away from home. And there's everybody saying goodbye to their soldiers as they go on to the train. The train rolled right through dinner and over the sunset and around 10 o'clock and into a nap and out the next day until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. "A baby?" said Cole, annoyed. "A baby bear, a cub." Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be a trapper who got her. "What do trappers do?" asked Cole. "It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears." "Raise them?" "You know," I said. "Love them." Harry thought for a long time, and then he said to himself, "There is something special about that bear." He felt inside his pocket and said, "I shouldn't." He paced back and forth and said, "I can't." Then his heart made up his mind, and he walked up to the trapper and said, "I'll give you $20 for the bear." "Is $20 a lot?" asked Cole. "Back then," I said, "even more than a lot." "Captain Colborne," said the colonel on the train as the little bear sniffed at his knees, "we are on a journey of thousands of miles heading into the thick of battle, and you propose to bring this most dangerous creature?" Bear stood straight up on her hind legs as if to salute the colonel. The colonel stopped speaking at once, and then, in quite a different voice, he said, "Oh, hello." The men of Harry's regiment squeezed by to have a look. "I've decided to name her Winnipeg," Harry told them, "so we'll never be far from home. Winnie for short." They had a very long way to travel, and they had already gone 3 or 4 feet when Winnie grew hungry. "What do bears eat?" the men wondered. "What don't they eat?" said Harry. "Vegetables," Cole reminded me. "Winnie ate vegetables," I said. "She ate everything except for onions." So they brought her carrots and potatoes and apples and tomatoes and eggs, beans, bread, a tin of fish, and some slop in a dish. But Winnie was still hungry. "How about dessert?" said Harry, holding up a bottle of condensed milk. Taking the treat in her paws, Winnie lay on her back and hummed a happy song as she drank. And the men roared. They laughed. They loved her. Harry and Winnie gathered with soldiers from all over Canada in the green fields of Van Carter. A whole city of tents had sprung up there. One was a hospital for horses, and that is where Harry went to work. Winnie was in the army now. Harry taught her how to stand up straight, hold her head high, turned this way and that way, just so. Soon she was assigned to her own post. Even the colonel agreed that Winnie was a remarkable bear. She might have been the best navigator in the whole army. If you hid something, could she find it? Oh, she could. What if it was farther away and farther still? Remarkable. She could find it. And here she is going all the way around in circles to find whatever she needs. In the evenings, both of them were too tired to move. When Harry thought about Winnie and the voyage across the ocean, his head said, "I shouldn't." His head said, "I can't." But his heart made up his mind. Nobody had ever tried to float so many people and animals across the Atlantic Ocean before. 30 ships sailed together, carrying about 36,000 men, about 7,500 horses, and one bear named Winnie. There she is. When they finally arrived in England, the regiment went to training on the Salisbury Plain, where it rained and rained and rained. But Winnie didn't seem to mind. She was the mascot of the 2nd Canadian Infantry Brigade, and she attended her post with vigor. One day, Harry came running while she was doing her exercises in the tent. "You'll bring the whole place down," he said with a laugh. She had grown quite big. It was winter when the order came. The time had come to fight. Winnie posed proudly with the men for pictures to send home to their families. Harry thought for a long time. His head argued one way and then the other, but his heart made up his mind. He went to Winnie and said in a serious way, "There's somewhere we need to go." Winnie brushed the mud off her nose and nuzzled in close. Harry drove all the way to the big city. "Here we are," said Harry. "It's the London Zoo." Harry took a deep breath. "Winnie, this is going to be your home for a while," he said. She tilted her head. "We're shipping out to France," he explained, "and I have to take care of the horses at the front." She rested her big head against him. "I know you want to come, but it's not safe." Winnie's head bowed. Harry's hands were warm as sunshine as usual. "There is something you must always remember," Harry said. "It's the most important thing, really. Even if we're apart, I'll always love you. You'll always be my bear." "Is that the end?" "That's the end of Harry and Winnie's story," I said. "But I don't want it to be over," said Cole. "Sometimes," I said, "you have to let one story end so the next can begin." "How do you know when that will happen?" "I don't," I said, "which is why you should always carry on." And here's that big zoo. Once upon a time, there was a little boy with a stuffed bear. He'd had this bear ever since he was a baby, but somehow the boy had never found the right name for him. He tried Teddy and Edward and even Big Bear. One day, the boy went to visit the London Zoo with his father. And there was a bear, a real bear, on the terraces right there. Right away, the boy thought, there's something special about that bear, and her name was Winnie. They became true friends. The boy was allowed to come right inside her enclosure to play. Once the boy had found Winnie, he knew just what to call his stuffed bear. He called it Winnie the Pooh. And the boy was called Cole, said Cole. His name was Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin would visit Winnie at the zoo, and then he would take his stuffed animal on all sorts of adventures in the woods behind his home. His father, Alan Alexander Milne, wrote books all about them. Harry's Winnie became Winnie the Pooh, and there has never been a more beloved bear. "But what about Harry?" Cole asked. When Harry visited Winnie at the zoo, he saw how happy she was. She was being raised. She was truly loved, and that was all he ever wanted, from the moment they met at the train station at White River. So after the war, Harry returned to Winnipeg and his life as an animal doctor. Before long, he was married, and they had a son named Fred, and Fred had a daughter named Lauren, and Lauren had a daughter named Lindsay, which is me. And I had a son. When I saw you, I thought, there is something special about this boy. So I named you after your great-great-grandfather, Captain Harry Coleman, and I named you Cole. "That's me?" said Cole in a whisper. "That's you." "And that's Winnie?" "Yes," I said, "that's Winnie." "Is that all true?" "Sometimes the best stories are," I said. Cole's eyes grew big, and he said nothing for a long time. And then he hugged his own bear close and let out a yawn that reached far away, and they both turned over and fell asleep. And I love this part because this is some real photographs of the people in the story. So here's that soldier, Harry, a real photograph of him in the story. This is Harry's diary that he kept during World War I. This was during 1914, the first year of the war. So this is one of the pages, and it says actually on August 24th that he bought a bear for $20. So here, These are 3 soldiers with Winnie at her post. So if you can tell, there's a bear right there between them. This is Winnie and Harry, and it looks like they're having a laugh and a snack. I'll put it a little closer so you can see. This is the group picture with Winnie. Winnie's right in the middle, so I'll put that a little closer too. So that's all the soldiers, and they're having a picture with Winnie. And I'm sure they'll send them home to their family members, to mom and dad, to their wives, whoever. This picture over here is of Winnie and Harry, and actually it inspired a statue that is actually currently in London, if you ever were to go to London. And here's the statue right next to it that is in London. So this picture over here, and I'll put it close in a second, was a picture of Winnie and Christopher Robin that was taken at the zoo once they became friends. So those are the stories of how, you know, Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, all those storybooks that we have. This is the official animal record that shows how Winnie began her stay. So this is when they put her into the zoo right here. And Lindsay and Cole, so this is the real mom and the real boy that is pictured in this story. Cole and the mommy. So I know this is a little different than the typical fairy tales I read, but I hope you enjoyed it. Might give you a different perspective if you ever watch Winnie the Pooh now, because it really did have a real bear, and there really was a real boy that connected with Winnie the Pooh. I thought it was an amazing story, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. All right, my Montville friends, have a wonderful week, a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Bye.